you can still be heavily involved in that world.
Yeah.
The passion for it never leaves.
Your coaches are gonna, at the very least, thanks for going out of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely.
Comfort zone is the most dangerous place to be.
Yeah. You got to find what works for you. You have to find what works for you, I think, at a young age and perfect that.
Be around the right people. That's my biggest thing. Is you can train all day long, but you are who you surround yourself with.
What's going on, everybody? This is Coach Vinny, and welcome to another episode 2 of the Students of Strength podcast. I am your host, Coach Vinny Polillo. We are here at Altamont Performance Lab inside Dig In Media Studios, and I've got a really cool guest here with me today. Another local legend, Tracy High guy, someone who's got some really great stories to share about his baseball journey, his career. And next to me, this is Thomas Greeley. Like I said, local guy, got some great history attached to him, especially with Tracy High baseball. That's something that we really want to hit with this podcast, is highlight this amazing town and just the athletes that have paved the way for other kids. So I'll let Thomas introduce himself and tell his story a little bit, and then we'll just get to this conversation.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Thomas Greeley. Grew up here in Tracy playing multiple sports, travel ball, this, football, basketball, that. Went to Tracy High, did that whole thing. Had some pretty good success there. Was able to go to Delta after that, Delta Junior College, and then Division I, and then fortunate enough to have a couple of years of pro ball under my belt as well. So that's,
Very cool.
That was a big highlight for me.
Very cool. So kind of going back to the beginning, even before playing at Tracy High, where did your passion for baseball, how did that all begin for you? Let's go back to the beginning.
So the very beginning, just like a lot of people in town, I started very young, 4 years old, T-ball, or 5 years old, whatever that youngest age was. I played that first year that I was able to.
Mm-hmm.
My brother had played. He's a few years older than me, so I grew up watching him. My dad liked to play, slow pitch softball tournaments. Competitively, he was really good at that. So it just kind of, that sport was just in my blood. And then just like the rest of my family, I fell in love with that early. So it was all I wanted to do every year. Like, oh, when's baseball start? When's the league starting this year? And then a little bit of travel ball as well, because it gave me a chance to keep playing. That's all I wanted to do, is I just wanted to play ball.
Very cool. Now, kind of fast forward into Tracy High. Let's go to the start of your freshman year, per se. You got to experience playing for the Alkires, Vic Alkire, who, we'll talk a little bit more about this later now that our field is named after him.
Yeah.
I met the Alkires my freshman year at Tracy High. That was 20 years ago, so it's seeing different ages, everybody experiencing the same coaches, right? It's a level of comfort, but that it's not going to be comfortable playing for those guys. It's what you're going to expect at tryouts. It's going from, let's say, whether it was Little League or Babe Ruth to now high school. Everything does change. It's a different level of play. The leagues have changed to who we're playing. We're in a league with schools like St. Mary's High School out of Stockton. The competition is different. You got to play for some of the best Tracy High teams, championship caliber teams, which definitely paved the way for your success getting into college and just being able to continue that. This was my first year being able to bring strength and conditioning to the baseball program at Tracy High. And those banners out in the outfield are very lonely. to think it's been quite some time since you played on, Vic Alkire Field. So let's go back to your first experience with Tracy High baseball, freshman year, and, let's just go from there. Like, there's so many freshmen that are there now, right? They're the ones listening to this podcast. So it's walk them through that, what to expect and, how to really make the best out of those 4 years as a Bulldog.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest memory I have from, at least the process side of it, not necessarily the actual experiences, but I remember very specifically setting a goal before I even got to high school. So like I said, my brother's a few years older than me. His senior year, he played baseball at Tracy High as well, all 4 years. But his senior year, there was a freshman on the team. His name was Tanner Turner. If you were to go on their website, I'm sure he's somewhere on those record books and, top 5 in some couple categories. So I was going to those games. I'm too young. I can't stay home alone. My parents are bringing me to my brother's games and everything. Not to mention, I just wanted to be around baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so like I remember seeing him as a freshman on that varsity team, and I was like, oh, that's rare. Like he's the only one. There's nobody else. That's what I want to do. So I was about, had to have been about 11 or 12 years old around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, I got to do that. Like that's awesome. Like this guy's essentially small town famous because he's a freshman on varsity. So fast forward a couple years, I get to high school. I didn't play varsity my freshman year. I played freshman ball and honestly kind of got upset about that. I felt like I was at least good enough to make that team. Maybe not be an everyday player, everyday starter, but I felt like I was good enough to make that team. So kind of put a little bit of a chip on my shoulder that way. So my freshman year, I ended up hitting 500 on the dot.
Take the adversity and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was an infielder at the time. I was our everyday shortstop, and I would pitch once a week. And whole season, hit 500, didn't make a single error in the field, average pitcher or anything. And I was, at the end of that season, earned myself a JV spot for the last couple of weeks. That JV season went a couple weeks longer. So I played JV that year. My sophomore year, as soon as I stepped up to fall ball and the training and all the stuff that happens before the season starts,
the important stuff.
I felt at home. I felt better. I knew I was going to play varsity that year because I'd already talked to those coaches the year prior. So I knew I was going to be on that team. It was just a matter of how often was I going to see the field.
Yeah.
So I was a shortstop, 0 errors the year before. I'm coming in, all big headed and I'll play short this year. We had a guy named Jacob George playing shortstop. That dude had the smoothest hands I've ever seen. To this day, I played pro ball, 3 years of pro ball, and he still had the best hands.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked if I wanted to play second. I was like, well, is it going to get me on the field? That's all I cared about. And that's even a quote going back to Tony Crivello is actually one of the top at one. He's a NorCal founder, actually.
Yeah.
So I played NorCal
I got
for
to
a while.
work with Tony this past season. Great guy.
Yeah. But his thing, playing for NorCal, he's like, if coach's ever talking to you, asking you, hey, can you play? Yes.
Yep. Just say yes.
Yes. Just
yes
get on
or,
the field.
Yes or no.
Because at the very least, you might learn a new position. You might find out that's where you're going to have a career, which happened to me in college with that exact mindset. But yeah, no, as far as high school goes, it was awesome getting to play with a lot of those guys that I had either grown up with, and then being a sophomore on varsity, guys that were a little bit older than me that I always thought were a little bit better than me, and being able to feel at home in that environment with the older guys. And I ended up starting at second base. We had a couple of injuries throughout the year, so I got moved around a little bit. I had never played outfield in my life.
Yeah. And
I ended up playing right field for 3-4 weeks. Actually hurt myself out there as well. So that Tracy High field, there's that short fence going down the right field line all the way down.
Absolutely.
There. Like I said, I've never played outfield. I don't know how to know where I'm at on the field out there. I'm looking up at this ball going, oh, okay, I gotta go get that. And then this little 3-foot fence just took me out. It was so it was real great time there. But anyway, I ended up moving back to second. We had a pitcher injury later that year. Hey, can you pitch? Yes. Yes, I can.
I will learn.
So my sophomore year, I had like 2 innings on the mound, just emergency garbage innings, blowout games, position player pitching stuff that you see in the bigs right now. Junior year, I had 12 innings on the year. So they're like, it's he's not terrible. Velocity was down. I was younger. I didn't even know how to train velocity. The only weight room experience I'd had at that time was whatever the school offered for PE, which, there's an athletics PE thing.
Yeah.
Last period.
Weight training. Yep.
Yeah. So we
competitive athletics is what it was called when I was there.
Yeah, I think it was just called weight training for athletes or something. They made that last period because you got to leave early for games. I don't want you to miss actual schoolwork. But yeah, that was the only weight experience I had. I wasn't very big, wasn't very strong, but I was athletic and I just wanted to be better than everybody else. So my senior year, we now have 2 pitchers that are just they're our guys. It's both of them are actually or have at least seen AAA ball with clubs. One of them, Noah Denoyer, is with the Baltimore Orioles organization.
Yep.
Big velo guy. Grew up a lot in college as well. I played with him at San Joaquin Delta.
Okay.
And then the other guy, his name was Cody Bolton. He was
Bolton.
a Michigan commit, drafted out of high school. We all knew what was happening with him. His sophomore year, he came up and he
got
shook.
traded to the Mariners.
Yeah. I want to say he got drafted by the Pirates.
Yeah. It took him a while to get up there and get called. I think he had a surgery too.
So he's finishing up the recovery for that surgery right now, or going through that process. I know he had a cup of coffee in the bigs with the Pirates before that trade happened. He pitched at I actually think it was still called AT&T Park at that time, but now Oracle.
I can remember because our local photographer Stu, he loves following Tracy High athletes, and he's always posting like when an athlete makes it or sharing that success. And sometimes like you forget about a name and then it's like, oh, Cody Bolton's still doing his thing. Noah's still doing his thing. I grew up with guys like Matt Overton, who was the NFL guy, 10 plus year career as a long snapper. And, there are kids now that it's like, who's that? Who are these people? You have kids that don't really know who Kobe Bryant is, right? It's just a name and a shoe. It's like no, that was a real human being, and there were guys before that, just like, you at Tracy High, there were guys before you. There's, like you said, how do I get better than the guy ahead of me? And I think that's what you've always had in front of you too, like even before getting there, like setting that goal, right? And I think that's huge. The routines you guys develop, being a strength and conditioning coach, like I'm looking at things on the field from a completely different perspective as, say, your baseball coaches, your pitching coaches. But it's, what guy has a routine, and even getting to coach with Tony Crivello this year, that was something that he said over and over again. He's like, no one has a routine anymore. Like, you're up there, you don't take a step out of the box, you're making no time for yourself, you're just making the pitcher's job easier. I think one of my favorite things this year was him yelling at guys rushing up to the batter's box. It's like, don't you dare get in that batter's box. Don't you make that pitcher's job any easier. You make him wait.
I still have nightmares of Tony talking about third hat.
Yep.
Foul ball, guy on deck, the guy after him. You're getting a foul ball, you're getting a bat or whatever. You're giving that on deck guy time to go through his routine, if he has one.
It's like simple things where it's just like, what are we doing?
Next time you talk to Tony, ask him if he remembers my pre-at-bat routine.
He still talks about you.
Yeah,
he uses you as an example. Even when the field commemoration happened for Vic and you were around that day, he still talked about it. About guys having a routine, whether it's, how long it takes you to get up in that box, getting yelled at by the umpire and you're still going to take 5 more seconds,
So I ended up having to tweak that a little bit too. And because when I got to Long Beach, it was that was the first year that we were doing like pitch clocks and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Like
time's against you.
And I wanted to have this routine that made everybody go,
what is he doing?
What is that?
Yeah. Now they're going to think of you.
And
you're going to remember me every time.
And at that point, Pablo Sandoval was the guy in San Francisco.
Yep.
So his whole thing where he's sliding across and he's kicking his bat 37 times and he taps it on his head and he's sniffing the barrel. And like, that pitchers are rattled.
Yeah. OCD is a real thing.
Absolutely. If anything throws off your timing or you see a guy do something odd, and you know, there's a ton of guys, especially at the high school level, guys really haven't built that mental toughness, that mental, you know, strength there, and they're just like, what is happening?
You're just rushing through an at bat, and you're walking back to the dugout faster than you got up to the batter's box.
Yeah. I mean, I had guys like, oh, call time before that pitch, whatever. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this guy's rolling. He's just shut us down for 5 innings. He's at 61 pitches. He's going to finish this game, get in the box, try to time it perfectly right as he's about to start time. So he has to stop his whole motion, got a rhythm and everything. And it's you know, that game within the game, but it's part of the routine.
It is. You know, and you can disrupt that route. If you disrupt it, it can mess you up, or you see that pitcher you're facing, like, man, he's really in a groove right now. How do I mess up this groove? Right? Maybe I do have to take a little more time. You know, I think that's the mental thing, right? The mindset. You know, I was just watching Oregon football documentary. They do a really good job every year of really highlighting what's happening at camp. And one of the first things that the coach laid out for their kids, like one of the goals of the season, was to have a growth mindset. You know, how can I get better? You know, what's my why? Why do I do this? Like, why am I here? When I figure that out, it's, you know, where am I going with this? Like, am I just here to have fun with my boys for 4 years? You know, or is it someone like you who I got like an 8 to 10 year plan, right? Like these 4 years at high school, that's 4 years of me getting to play, develop, to get to the next 4 years, right? And even then, the chances of someone going from high school to college is almost slim to none. It's like 3% or lower. It's getting lower, especially now with the portal, right? It's getting even harder to get noticed. You can be the best high school player in your town. Doesn't mean anything. Like your town is in a big state, and there's a few 100,000 of you playing that sport within the country, right? And it's more than just being the best. What you're doing now, it's like, how can you separate from all those kids that are the best? Like I said, we're in a league with St. Mary's. Their 3 starting pitchers this past year were all Division I commits, and we are from a little tiny town public school, and we took one of those teams into extra innings. We ended up losing 1-0, but that opposing team gave our starting pitcher a standing ovation when he finally came out. You know, and you see these schools, like, they're different. Like, you know, at a public school, you might have to win a game with just maybe 3 or 4 guys that do a lot of the work, where you look at these other schools, and especially at St. Mary's, they have enough kids on their dugout for 2 teams. And one of those groups are just there to watch and learn, and they're there to play their role, you know. And for me, you know, when I played high school baseball, I wasn't a starter. I was that role guy, you know, but it was always being ready to fill that role. You need me to play outfield. You need me to play third. You need me to play here. You need me to pinch run. It's like always knowing that there's going to be that guy that coaches call upon, and it's not going to be that kid who is pouting in the corner, who's pissed off that he's not playing. They didn't see his name on the starting lineup. I always knew my name was never going to be on that starting lineup card. So for me, it was, how can I be the best teammate to those 9?
I feel like that gets lost.
It's completely lost.
Because and I had a very rude awakening when I got to junior college. Is, you know, coming off of my senior year, couple homers, second highest batting average in the league, and I was our day 2 starter for every series. we played against Elk Grove in the section championship that year. Took them to 3 games, lost the third one. But going into that game, that final championship game, I was 8-0 on the mound.
Yep.
I had 6 complete game shutouts, and I had a sub-1 ERA. So I'm like, all right, who's going to offer me something? I'm going to pitch, apparently.
Yep.
You know, grew up as an infielder and didn't really pitch until high school. And nothing, because I was 83, 84. And I'm also sandwiched in between Cody Bolton, who's 91, 93, Noah Denoyer, 88, 91, and nothing. So then I got to go junior college route. I go to San Joaquin Delta as a second baseman and a pitcher, 2-way. I threw in 1 inter-squad scrimmage, gave up a bomb to a guy that didn't even end up making the team. And I come off the mound, they're like, yeah, you'll just work with the infielders. It's like,
no longer a pitcher.
But then, our second baseman that year was All-American the year before, third baseman, same thing. So they're like, we'd like to redshirt you. We see what you can do in the future. You're a little undersized, and I was 160, 170 pounds at that point, so I was undersized, and so I redshirted. Went that route. Our catching coach at the time, Chris Rodriguez, he ended up getting a head coaching job at UOP for a little while as well. He asked if I'd ever caught before. I was like, well, yeah, I guess. And I'm like 9, 10 years old, just like everybody else in the world.
Just like kids that play football for the first time, they're always going to be a lineman and a linebacker.
Right. It's that progression. And but anyway, he was like, you ever caught? I was like, I guess a little bit when I was younger.
I know how to catch.
Yeah, I can do it. And he's like, all right, well, our starting catcher and our backup catcher pretty much split time evenly. I wouldn't even know which one was the starter and backup. But when one was catching, the other was playing first. We had a third guy who, for whatever reason, I don't know, they didn't trust him. They didn't like him. I don't know why, but he never saw the field. One of the hardest workers I've ever seen. He really just didn't have all that talent, and at some point that has to be a factor.
Yeah, you can't keep doing it.
Hard work beats talent, but you got to have some talent as well. So he was in the bullpen. Well, there was a day we needed 2 guys warming up. We didn't know if we wanted the lefty or the righty. We didn't know if this guy was going to make it through this inning or if he was going to have to go to the next inning. So he's like, hey, can you catch bullpen for me? I'm like, sure. Redshirting, all I'm doing is keeping a chart. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Here to learn.
I don't have any stuff. And he's like, all right. And so, I'm using one of the guys' older stuff. It was a home game. We had the shed right there. So I ended up just being a bullpen catcher that year. And because that's what they needed from me. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I can catch a baseball and throw it back. I mean, that's all you really need out of a bullpen catcher.
Yeah, not doing much.
You don't have to be good. So anyway, a couple weeks later, he comes down to the bullpen. Our catching coach does, just to check, see if the pitcher's ready to go. Wants to send him in the game right now. Next batter's yours, whatever. He watches him throw a couple pitches. He goes, "You can make some money back there one day." And I just looked at him and was like, "Shut up! Like, I'm playing third next year when Monty leaves. I'm I'm only here because this is what you guys need from me, and I want to be your team.
I have to be
right, exactly. It keeps me on the field. I get to be with the guys. I get to be building that camaraderie and that relationship with all the guys that are going to be on that team next year that I'm with." And he's like, "No, you can catch." Okay.
Damn.
Next day, I'm putting my spikes on at practice. I'm in the dugout. Guys are joking around, and he's carrying this load of stuff. And he just drops it on my feet, or right in front of my feet. And it's just this old set of gear. I don't even know how long it's been in the shed.
You're a catcher now.
And he goes, "You're with me today." First practice, our first drill that we did as catchers was they put 2 L screens, or one on either side of the mound, and then gradually each round put them closer and closer and closer together. They're trying to get that ball to go straight and not have that tail.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a second baseman. I'm turning double plays. I got arm slots down here that I can be effective with and stuff. I don't know how to throw from right here every time.
Yeah.
I'm inconsistent. So my balls are, they're going around, right on the money, all of them, but some of them are straight, some of them are this way. I've cut one here and there. And then, so he's working me with that. And then we start blocking, and I'm like, oh God, this is going to hurt. First couple, pulling away, doing all this. I'm like, all right, it's not that bad. We can do it. After that, I don't think I played infield until Pro Bowl. that he was right. It's like you're gonna make some money back there. Somebody's gonna want you to do that.
Someone saw something.
Yeah. But again, going back to that, can you play? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yep.
I've never done it, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
But that's that's part of that role player
Mhm.
identity where I knew I wasn't on the field. How else can I help my team?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I only play first base, but we have 3 of those.
Right.
Right. You're not going to play first base.
Right. Yeah. Pick up an outfield.
Yeah. As much as your parents think you're the best one for the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your mom and dad are not the head coach of this team. And, I think for me, watching high school baseball from a different perspective this year, not playing it, right? Being a strength coach, and I was at practices. We spent 18 weeks of an off season before they ever had to even go to tryouts. And, I never had any of that when I was at Tracy High. Like you said, you had to be lucky enough to get into the weightlifting or weight training class. But then you weren't really doing anything in there. You were just hanging out, waiting for the bell to ring, and thinking with athletes, it's who's teaching these kids how to sprint, right? It's, yes, they throw. Who's teaching them to strengthen their arms? Who's teaching them about mobility, nutrition? For you, it's, you mentioned that you were undersized, underweight, and that there's always going to be that guy who weighs more than you, right? Or that's bigger than you, that throws harder than you. And it's looking at what is that person doing? Yeah, it might be talent, right? But then it's also, you need to be strong, because at the college level, especially Division I, you're going to step foot in a weight room. They're
Required.
Very required. I have known guys that have lost their scholarships because, I'm a great ball player, but that's about all you are. And at that level, I have a whole bunch of really great ball players.
And another thing about the weight room in college is a lot of times the guys that are picking up the most weight, the guys that are getting stronger, the guys that want to be in there are the guys that end up playing at the next level, whatever level that may be, whether you're high school trying to get to college trying to get to pro
and
bowl.
You could be a late bloomer.
Yeah. But and it's not just about the number that they're putting up, it's about the number that they're jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like we were just talking about, I was a thinner guy going into college. I ate everything I could get my hands on and would lift. Just, weight training class. I didn't want to pay for a gym membership, broke college kid, but I was always in that weight room when we were supposed to be. And then I would, sit in on it. Our coach had a weight training class, as a PE teacher. So I would jump into there some days, but and then there's other guys here where they were picking up the world, man. They were the strongest guys that I had seen up to that point. But they were all about the number. They wanted to max every day. They wanted to max every week. Yeah. And then guys like me, I'm like, well, I don't do that. So my max isn't as impressive as those guys.
No.
I don't care about my max, but I'll get there.
Yeah. Is it getting you better?
Right.
Right. And for you, it's like, do you remember where you started weight wise? Do you remember where you ended up, say, coming into the next season? Like, do you remember how much weight you gained?
Yeah, I gained about 15 pounds in 1 year.
Solid.
And it was, I also had a lot of help. So I had a teammate who loved the weight room. I think he played baseball so he could lift weights. I don't even think he, but anytime we'd go hang out over at his apartment or, party over there, whatever it is, this dude's got 45 pounds of steak in the freezer, just Costco sized bags of rice. And he just ate and ate. He was always eating because he loved to get bigger, get stronger. And the nutrition was a big part of that for him. So I was hanging around him. I was like, Mark, this guy's making progress. This guy has a plan. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Come to find out, a diet that, nuance isn't always the best. But, you got to balance that out.
Yeah.
But the protein that he was getting him better. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to eat steak and chicken all day long. And it did. Like I said, gained about 15 pounds that first year going through my redshirt year. That was the other thing is as a redshirt, I didn't have to worry about not being too sore to play tomorrow.
Yeah,
I just lifted my ass.
That's kind of the beauty of redshirting too.
That's
the whole goal is to prepare you.
Yeah.
And I think, with a lot of things like with scholarships and kids getting noticed, I think a lot of it from a coaching perspective, it's, is this kid going to make a direct impact right away? Or do we need to take a year off and develop you? Because like you said, 15-pound weight gain is massive. It's going to affect your velo, right? Everything's going to change, go up, you're stronger, you look the part now. And some guys, like I said, are late bloomers. Some of the best professional baseball players that we watch today, or even of later days, past days, they didn't get their developing until they got to college, because,
Right.
Being at a high school, most high schools have weight rooms, but to think that your baseball coach now has to take you into that weight room and train you in there and take you out onto the field, it's just irresponsible.
Yeah.
Right? That's why at the college level, you had a team of strength and conditioning specialists, you had athletic trainers.
Yeah.
And your baseball coaches relied on those key staff members, which at that point, the baseball coaches, the football coaches, they all have expectations. They know what their athletes need. But for me, like as a strength coach, that's what I'm sharing with your coaches. Like, hey, this is where Thomas is. This is what Thomas is going to do. What do you need from us? And it's like you said, you had more time to focus on just lifting and then going to practice. You didn't have to be game ready. But it's a different routine that you learned, and learning from somebody that already had it locked in. I mean, that's huge, understanding that the food is important, especially at the high school level, we see lots of undersized kids.
Yeah.
And everybody's chasing things like velocity. And it's happening now at the younger ages. You got 12-year-olds, kids that haven't even hit puberty yet, that are worrying about exit velo and launch angle, their pop times, right? And, touching on that, right? You've seen it all from high school to college to pro ball. What advice can you give to that 12-year-old and that 13-year-old? Not even advice to them, but advice to their mom and dad.
Those numbers mean absolutely nothing when it comes to training.
Getting better is not going to show up on your hit tracks. I hit that ball 91 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That's a new PR.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah. We got
did
kids.
that off a tee.
Yeah. You got kids now that have their own pocket radars, and I'm seeing the PRs, and PRs are great, but it's the velo jumps that you're seeing right now in these little bodies. For me, what I'm seeing now when they become a teenager or a preteen is the issues that we're seeing with shoulders and elbows, the amount of growth plate issues that I'm having come into the gym, little leaguer shoulder, little leaguer elbow, it's all overuse. Mm-hmm. I've had the opportunity to be around pro athletes and learn from pro athletes. My life isn't based around coaching them, but a lot of these things that you see little kids doing, or throwing programs or velo programs, it's most professional athletes aren't even doing those things. They'll use weighted balls maybe in a warm-up scenario, but from what I've learned is just play catch.
Long toss.
Be good.
If any kids listening, long toss.
Good catch. This past year we had a brand new varsity baseball coach at Tracy High, new coaching staff, and Coach Mack played college baseball, drafted by the Yankees. And one thing that really stuck with me when we were out there with the kids was just go out there and I want to play good catch.
Yeah.
If we can't play good catch, we are not going to be good at baseball.
Well, the good catch is such a small part of that. Touching on a bigger thing though too is nobody cares about playing good catch or fielding a good ground ball or fundamentally fielding a ground ball.
There's no camera on me, right?
Yeah.
No one's watching me.
Or hitting the ball into a gap. Nobody cares about that. They want, now it seems like there's this shift into results.
How are you acting when you have a bad rep?
Right.
It's that, and for me, like, that's what these college coaches and recruiters are looking at. They already know you're good. They already know you're great. They're there to watch all the other things. Like, oh yeah, you're striking everybody out, but what about that dude who just took you deep for a 3-run bomb?
Right.
Are you pouting on that mound? Are you throwing your glove into the dugout? Are you treating your teammates like crap? Are you ignoring your coach when he's trying to talk to you? Or are you that guy who comes in who's trying to rally your teammates, who's just gonna go into that mode where it's like, this guy's pissed.
Yeah.
He's gonna go make an impact. Or like, no, he's upset. He's in meltdown mode up there. We're probably gonna have to get him off the mound, or you're at the plate, you've struck out 3 times, you've hit into 2 double plays, but now you're up there and you hit the game-winning walk-off single.
I was just gonna say that.
Right?
That's another thing from Tony is that, I think we're down in San Diego or something like that for Carlsbad, Phil Singer turn. That's what it was, and he was telling us told me, because I'm hat trick in the first game, 3 Ks, struck out my first 2 at-bats the next game. And, I'm expecting this other guy to, pinch hit for me, bigger situation, whatever. He's like, you got it. Go ahead. Go put the fat part of the bat on the ball. And it was just, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What do you mean just put the fat? But you sound like Barry Bonds right now. I just catch the ball. No. And then, I'm going through my routine. I get up there in the box. I'm like, let's just find something without spin and just hit it.
Yep.
And then we did, and hit a double, scored a run. We ended up winning that game by 1 run.
Yeah.
Like, so you can go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts and still be the hero of the day. Baseball is a wild sport.
Tony-isms were really good throughout the year.
Yeah,
Even
I dropped a couple of them already.
Guys in situations where Tony's just there. Hey, just hit a ball hard. Hit a ball and play. You never know. It's high school baseball. You never know if a dude's going to boot that ball, or it's, why are we not running that hard 90? We stopped practices dead in their tracks because kids were just stopping halfway. And it was like, that could cost you. What if in that situation, dude drops the pop fly or boots the ball, throws the ball away? I can't tell you the amount of times where, nice hard hit ball to a shortstop or a third baseman. That's still a hard throw for a lot of high school kids to make it over to first base. How good is your first baseman at picking a ball out of the ground?
And in high school, the talent spectrum is just massive.
Yeah.
There's guys that, we had a guy that showed up to tryouts in jeans.
Yep. I mean, our varsity team this year, we had 2 freshmen that we brought up, starting second baseman, starting shortstop. It upsets people. And I'm like, we're trying to put together a program that is going to give these kids a chance to win games. And at that varsity level, right, we're trying to get into playoffs. Like, freshman baseball and JV baseball, it's about developing and learning, and some of these kids that even as freshmen, that could be their first time ever playing baseball, because kids aren't playing Little League and Babe Ruth anymore like we used to do. Rec ball isn't a thing. I can remember it was, if you were good enough, you got invited to an all-star tryout. If you were good enough, you made the all-star team. You got to play during the summer. You had things like the American Legion teams. And then, now you have travel ball. You have baseball organizations, right?
Yeah.
And every week a new travel ball team is getting created. For someone like you, how'd you navigate all that, right? Is it necessary to play travel ball, or do we need more kids to experience Little League Babe Ruth.
Yeah, so I've got a little bit different relationship with travel ball than a lot of guys nowadays that have louder voices on social media talked about travel ball's killing baseball. Kids just want this and that. They don't want to play just to play.
Yeah, the
anymore.
instant gratification.
But so I don't know if I was kind of at the beginning of all this and missed the whole monetization and commercialization of travel ball, but the travel ball team that I played for from when I was 9 until I was about 14
Mhm.
was just a bunch of my friends.
Yeah.
Like one of them, his dad was like, "Yeah, let's start a team," and then one of the other dads was like, "Oh, I'll help you coach that, sure." You know, these are guys that may have played college ball. I know one of them played at Diablo Valley or something like that. Something out there. But I don't think he ever went more than junior college. This other guy, I don't think he played college baseball. It was just a bunch of dads that were like, all our kids play baseball. They like each other. I like you guys. Let's all hang out on the weekends. And so we would. We'd go out, just a bunch of idiots, man. You put us in a public situation and you got to keep us on leashes. Just a whole bunch of weirdos. But we just ran out there, warmed up, got on the field, whooped on some teams,
Mhm.
and then we went to the coach's house for a barbecue and swimming after.
Yeah.
So like we didn't care about, oh, we're sponsored by this team and oh, we get deals on this drip. And it was like, dude, the biggest drip we had was a fighting. The little twisty fighting
Mhm.
necklaces. And we thought we were cool. We had them custom made with our team's logo right
Yeah,
there.
they were doing
and
all
stuff.
sorts of
but
things
we're
for your
paying for all that out
energy
of
and your
pocket.
chakras.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like, I had a great time playing travel ball. And then I hear stories from other people or, even nowadays, it's like, oh, well, he wasn't playing for this coach, so we moved over here.
Yeah.
This wasn't how we liked it, so we moved over here. It's like, there's no sense of loyalty. Really.
Yeah, there's
camaraderie.
There's free agency going on
Exactly.
within kids sports.
Exactly. And there was a couple of kids when I was growing up where it was like, all right, who's playing this week? What team am I playing on? Like, you didn't even have a uniform.
Mhm.
They're handing you a T-shirt that they give to the parents. It's like,
Yeah, kids don't go to the field anymore to like play a pickup game.
exactly.
Like,
a lot of times those kids they're very talented. They're very good,
Mhm.
but they end up maxing out because they're playing every single weekend with different teams who just want them to come and hit a bomb or two.
Yeah.
They don't care if you're developing. They don't care about any of that.
That's why, baseball loves the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, even Japan. Like it's
Because they practice.
they're
develop.
starting them at such a young age.
Mhm.
They stick with each other. Right now, it's like, oh, I can play for a team, and then I don't like a mom or a dad on that team anymore. My kid didn't get playing time.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go jump ship. And now it's just a business. Now that mom and dad that are upset can just go start their own team, right? And now it's just a slippery slope
Mhm.
because now you have kids that are just, it's really about their parents and how many drinks they can hide in their Stanley,
Yes.
over the weekend. And I mean, youth sports, I never saw parents yelling at one another, yelling at coaches, yelling at umpires, parents running onto the field. It's so ugly. Like my niece, she's in high school now, but watching her softball games. It's like, for one, paying to get into a softball game is just wild. Paying for parking to go to a kid's game.
Yeah.
I'm like, we used to drive up to a game. Parents would park on the side of the street. You'd go up, watch your game. My dad would watch from center field because my mom was the loudmouth in the stands. It's like, that's not my mom. I don't know who that crazy person is. But now it's all about the drip, right? You got 10-year-olds that have a $400 bat, right? They've got
I don't even think of back any
ankle strap,
when I was playing.
wrist guards, just drip city,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I think my
With
bat,
the sliding mitt in the pocket.
my bat came from Kmart, which that store doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah,
And I
had a big
shared
flat bat for a while.
Yeah, I shared my bat with my two brothers,
Mhm.
right? And now these kids get a new bat every 3 to 6 months. A baseball bat now, you're looking at $300 to
Put
$400.
a down payment on it.
Yeah, gloves are probably just as expensive, if not more. right? Now you're getting laughed at if you're the kid rocking a big 5 bat or the crappy bat from the local sporting
And it
store.
doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah. Hey, that $400 bat, it's like you still have to have the talent to hit the ball, right? And hitting a baseball is like one of the hardest things to do.
I remember this because one of the guys that I played with, he was on that travel ball team. I played football with him as well. He's got family going through the programs right now, but he lived like a block away from me. I texted him. I was like, hey, do you have any old bats? Like mine cracked at the last tournament. And he just like sends me a picture of this box of random things from his career. He had a bat that his dad had in high school in that box. And I rolled up to his house and I was like, hey, can I get that Demerini F2? And he's like, yeah, $20. I was like, sure.
Sold.
And I'm like 13 years old. My parents gave me like $50 to go run down there and grab something. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I used that F2 for 2 years after that. And it was used already. And
hit the same as, the other guy over here with his brand new special order combat, whatever.
It's like you still have to have some talent. It's just like somebody who wants to go drive or buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. It's not like driving a Prius. You still have to know how to handle certain vehicles. Just like that $400 bat, it's not going to make you hit a 400-foot bomb if you still struggle to get the ball out of the infield, right? I think a lot of the times with parents, we're investing in the wrong things. I don't think 12-year-olds need a hitting coach, a fielding coach, a pitching coach, a catching coach, because then we're being told that they don't have time to do important things like get stronger, get faster.
Well, and the other thing about that is, oh, my kid's a catcher. I want him to have a catching coach.
Yeah, I need to specialize.
Yeah, and like that's all fine and dandy, but they're so quick to jump onto it that they're not putting in any kind of due diligence to see if this is even the right person.
Yeah.
If this guy has the experience that he's claiming that he has.
Especially catching.
Yeah.
It's like put them behind the plate for 7 innings or so, and then we'll see if they want to keep being a catcher.
Right, or 9.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like, oh, I want to pitch. Like, go up there and let's see if you...
Like, I'm all for specialized training.
Yeah.
I really, I don't mind because when I grew up, that's what I ended up having to do was, I caught. I didn't take any reps in the infield. I didn't go in bullpens. Yeah. But that started a lot later. And also, I didn't go with the first guy that I Googled.
Yeah.
I found guys, I found resumes, or if I did find a guy, I'd Google him, see where he actually played, see how he actually did.
You should do a little
see who he
education.
played for.
Not just, my kid just went out for baseball. He's 10 or 11, and now, I'm going to go to this guy. And it's like, well, who is that guy? Right? It's just like with strength and conditioning, people, their kid plays football. So they need a football guy to train their kid. This guy played football in high school, so that makes him, right? Like,
exactly.
I didn't play football. I coach over 150 football players 5 days a week, but I don't coach football. I coach strength and conditioning.
Right.
It's like
that's what
I have a lane.
Yeah.
But it's knowing that I know what the football player needs. I'm out there at football practice. Like, they need strength, they need speed. 2 things relative to the sport they're playing. But they're being told that they don't need to work out, that it's going to stunt their growth, that it's going to make them tired, it's going to make them sore. So there's so much.
It should make you sore.
It should make you sore. That means
And
you're
you
doing
should
something. You should be
able to play
sore
through
that first week of practice because you haven't done baseball or football for however long, right? Or if you've been playing all year, right? And now you come in, you finally start training, and that's where, we're at that time of the year where all the kids that have been playing all spring and all summer, their bodies are tired right now.
Yeah.
Right. Even the professional baseball players, you're now seeing teams that peaked already that are down here. Now you're seeing those teams that started out playing like crap and now they're first place, second place. So it's like, what are those teams doing differently?
And that becomes ridiculously apparent
Mhm.
the higher levels you go.
Yeah.
So like you're talking about pro guys where, I was playing independent ball, so nothing that anyone's ever really heard of. No teams that are like, oh, what team do you play for? I played for them. No, they're small teams. Our gym, and one of them was probably the size of this room here.
Mhm.
And nothing was required. You didn't have to lift before or after.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do any of this. We're paying you to succeed, and if you're not succeeding, you're gonna be gone.
Yeah, we'll cut you.
Yeah.
And bring in the next
Yeah,
guy.
we'll trade
It's
you.
a business.
We'll find something else. So it very abruptly happens when you see the guys that do lift every day. They don't care about playing sore. And then there's the other guys where it's like,
Oh, well, I've been playing every other day. I had today off. I'm going to play tomorrow. So I don't want to lift today because I don't want to be sore tomorrow. And it's like, yeah, that's why you're only playing half the time.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys back in the day
Figure
that
it
were,
out.
you had packs of cigarettes in the dugout, right?
Yeah.
You had guys that were, instead of being in the weight room, they're taking shots and smoking Marlboro Reds while their other guy, like even, guys like, Nolan Ryan, there's some guys that did it, some guys that just had God-given talent. They didn't need to do it, but it's like, you cannot compare yourself to those people, right? It's like even Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest athletes to walk the earth. Kobe hated lazy people. He even says like, if you're lazy, I don't want anything to do with you. He's like, I'm gonna be the first one in the gym. I'm gonna be the last one to leave, and you're never going to be the first one.
Yeah,
it's like
I saw something on.
Kobe has some of the greatest lines ever. Just despised laziness.
Yeah.
But it's like that's why you hold yourself at that level. People love to roast LeBron that he doesn't squat all the way to full range of motion. Like when you're that tall and you're that great, full range of motion squat should be the last thing that you are worrying about. But then it's like that gets into some kid's head that, well, they give LeBron a hard time because he does this. It's like the biggest problem is that you're comparing yourself to LeBron James.
Exactly.
Even with baseball, it's like every kid wants this guy's swing. Like for the longest time, everybody wanted to swing like Mike Trout. Everybody wanted to have Trout swing. Everybody wanted to swing like Bregman. It's different approach this, different approach that. You have, there's so much noise within baseball and softball, like hitting coach, pitching coach, fielding coach. This guy disagrees with that. It's, we don't lift. We don't do this. We don't train in season. We don't do that. It's the same with strength and conditioning coaches that argue about the validity of, we back squat. We don't back squat. We don't do Olympic lifts. We do Olympic lifts. It's just find the blend that works for the people that you're coaching, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing this.
Younger,
Just doing this for 20 years. Like I don't bash one movement to the next. It's some things work great for these kids. Some things are going to work better for this, but it's having that openness, right? It's just like with baseball. These kids might come in, I'm going to play second base. No, you're not, right? It's like, I'm going to pitch, go up there. No, you're not, right? It's knowing your role. And it's for you, it comes down to yes, coach, no coach, right? Hey, do you want to pitch? Yeah, I'll try that out. Hey, you want to play right field? Yeah. Because then if you keep saying no to those opportunities, you're never going to get them.
Especially if you're a guy that's not getting a ton of playing time.
Yes.
Like beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
If you're a second baseman and they say, "Oh, can you play right field?" You're like, "No, I've never done that. I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna look a fool out there if I make an error." Like, so what?
Yeah.
You're gonna get 3 at bats, probably 4. Yeah. Your coaches are gonna, at the very least, thanks for going out of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely.
Your comfort zone is the most dangerous place to be.
Yeah. Like, I don't think Aaron Judge cared when they moved him from center field over to right
Well,
field.
and Aaron Judge is a great example too, because his rookie year, I think that was his huge year.
Yeah,
and then
where
his next year, he was hitting
Altuve got the MVP that year.
Yeah, and then Judge's second year, the first half, he was hitting 190 or something stupid like that.
Or even just a couple years ago where it was the end of Aaron Judge.
Right.
And then out of nowhere.
And then it was
and then
here's that
look at the
record.
year he's doing now.
Yeah.
And it's he's not the home run leader, right? Cal Raleigh is from Seattle. And it's
one of my favorite players.
Yeah, when was the last time we had a catcher leading the home run race? base, right?
Mm-hmm. Switch hitting catcher.
Yeah, and it's not to take any. I think I'm a huge Yankee fan. I love Aaron Judge. The Yankees stink right now, but they're still so talented. So it's like even with all that talent, you can still stink. Hey, we won yesterday, but the 2 games before that, and you're seeing great offensive play, but you're seeing shakiness coming out of the bullpen and the pitchers and fire the coach, right? Fire the general manager.
It also brings up how hard it is.
How hard
to
baseball
win a
is.
baseball game.
Yes. And it doesn't matter if you are in first place or last place, because Boston Red Sox were a last place team not that long ago, and now they have a better record than the New York Yankees.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the day, they are all professional athletes. They're the best at what they do. Some get paid filthy amounts to where a bullpen catcher still makes a few $100,000 a year, right? And to think you still are surrounded by the game, but you don't have to really worry about playing, right? And getting hurt. And I get it, it's different. But for me, it's like, from the strength and conditioning side, I'm not out there playing, but I'm out there training. Like, hey, they might need me. I might have to shave my beard and cover my tattoos and go out there and play. And I would, right? And I think that's kind of the mindset that you talked about of like, hey, can you play here? Can you do this? Can you convert to being a catcher? Most kids say no. I work with our football team. We just put pads on a couple weeks ago. We now start the day with going right into special teams and doing all that. So we're instantly going to start hitting people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get kids that complain about playing time and they're out there playing and then they don't want to be out there because it's special teams. And It's like, do you really want to be out here, or do you just like the thought of being out here?
You want the jersey.
You want a jersey, you want your patch, you want your letterman, but it's like, I wouldn't want to wear that letterman if I didn't really contribute to anything. And I think that comes down to like being a good teammate, because most of those kids that are complaining about this, complaining about that, they are not good teammates. They're not cheering you on. They're probably wishing that you get hit by a ball. And
being a good teammate is severely underrated, in my opinion.
No one wants to cheer anybody on. Seeing it firsthand now at the high school level, like you get made fun of by your boys if you're cheering someone on and showing praise.
Yeah.
It's like the mindset is so different.
And I would also connect that to kind of the transfer portal as well, is because there's a lot of guys that just aren't good teammates.
Yeah.
So they don't make a lot of friends. And then, the story that they're telling when they come home is, coaches don't like me. That's why I'm not doing this. Or the guys don't like me or whatever. So I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you see how fun,
why don't you look in the mirror?
High level sports are. Like, when you watch the Oregon baseball team, when those guys hit home runs, they put the football helmet on and they create their little tunnel. The Seattle Mariners, when they hit home runs, they pull out the trident and the dugout. It's fun things like that, where seeing it firsthand this year, like a lot of chirping, like from both sides of it. It's a different type of chirping. It's not like the fun stuff that you would hear like when we were playing, where it's like we're losing 11-0 and we're over here running our mouths like we're a winning program.
Yeah, no, you're losing 11-0.
Like be quiet, learn from this team why they put up 11 on us, or the game that we lost 22-0. And that team has never scored that many runs on us in the history of playing them. Or you're playing the other school in town and they're not good and you lose to them. Changes everything.
Or even vice versa. You win that game.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to.
You're supposed to beat up those teams. It's like when you watch the first weekend of college football, why are the powerhouse schools playing these little bottom feeder teams? So they can get a morale boost, put up 60 on a team, because they know week 2, that's not going to happen.
So that, I love hearing about those games when you've got your Power Fives or your giant schools or whatever scrimmaging against these lower levels, those D2s, D3s, because when I was at San Joaquin Delta, we went 1 year, it might have been more than 1 year, but 1 year for me, we went down to Fresno State. we all jumped in the bus, drove down to Fresno State, and we played 18 innings against them. We split 9-9, little 30-minute break, dragged the field, grab a drink, grab an apple, or whatever. And junior college in California against a Division I program, they scored 2 runs all day. We lost 2-0 in 18 innings.
Yeah.
Because we put up a 0, and then we put up another 0, and then we put up another 0. We're like, wait a minute, we're actually putting the bat on the ball here too. We can do something here.
Yeah.
And you just feel a shift in the dugout where this fall scrimmage, guys that don't even have jerseys or uniforms or a plan for the season, this is now the state championship game.
Yeah.
We're going to beat Fresno State. We're going to be that team. And I know Delta used to play against the Stockton Ports too on the same type of thing. And then they beat them one year and everybody was like,
yep.
What
Those
just
are some
happened?
fun games. Even, when Kieran was still at Delta when they played the Ports beat them, but it was a very close game. And it's like, you're watching professional baseball players play junior college kids. And some of them just were playing high school ball. And I mean, I remember they were playing the Ports, and pitcher up there, he's throwing gas, low 90s, nasty stuff. And Kieran takes him deep right to the warning track, right? It was just a shot. And it's like, you can hit high level pitching, right? You can hit a guy that's thrown 92, 93. It's like, you get that mindset where it's like, you have high school kids that can't hit off an iron mic throwing 60, right? And then you expect, now you got a guy throwing you 92, and it's like, you watch the College World Series, those LSU pitchers, they're all throwing 100, 101, 102, and they're throwing that deep into innings. Or it's like your bullpen guys are doing the same thing. But then you see little schools, what was it, Murray State? Like, no one even knows who that school is, but now that does wonders for their recruiting.
Right.
Because it's
look at Coastal.
Yeah,
Coastal Carolina was
like
16 when they won.
Yeah,
17
people
when
don't
they
realize
won.
like
Nobody knew who they were.
They won a World Series not that long ago, and it's like Coastal Carolina. That sounds cool.
And what it does is, I love. I think it was a post game interview that their head coach did, and I loved this. He was like, "What Cinderella story?"
Yeah.
We were here just a couple years ago. Don't call us
There's a
underdogs.
local
Now we
kid
have
who
built
just
this.
committed to Coastal Carolina, Rex Watson. He went to Manteca High. He's been down at Santa Barbara, one of those, San Diego, Santa Barbara. And he had a really good freshman year. I think he almost won like freshman player of the year. And he trained here in town at places like H4S. I think he even went through NorCal. I'm pretty sure he played NorCal. And just a month or two ago, he got picked up to Coastal Carolina. And I'm like, it's kind of like seeing these kids where it's like, you probably forgot who that was.
Yeah.
And it's like, now they're still going.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you could
But
already...
because they're not.
you're already playing. Yeah.
They're not LSU.
Yeah, it's not that
they're
Power
not-
5. It's not appealing to me. And it's like when you watch, I think a lot of high school kids, they don't watch college sports, let alone professional sports. It's like, who are your favorite athletes? They can't even name 5. It's like, well, you're a San Francisco Giants fan. I can name more people on the team you supposedly like, so it's different, I had the teams that I loved as a kid, but I was always a fan of players.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Dude, I can't tell you how many times I had that conversation.
Yeah.
You meet new people and they find out you're in the sports world. Oh, what's your favorite team? And like nowadays, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm a Yankee
I grew up
fan.
a Giants fan.
It's tough to tell people that, but fans of just athletes, it's like growing up watching guys like Ricky Henderson, Ken Griffey Jr., even Mr. Barry Bonds himself, it's their Tony Gwynn, right? Like there's so many great hitters, even, growing up with an Italian grandfather, born and raised in the Bronx, all I knew as a kid was just not so much Yankees. And there are a lot of great Yankees, but it was just great baseball players in general. And they like to say that like those older guys couldn't hit pitching now. And I'm like, I feel like they would do just fine.
They
Right.
also didn't have the training tools. that we
Yeah,
have
they
now.
weren't facing dudes that were throwing 100, but we also didn't have radar
Right.
on guys. So who knows how hard they were really
Right.
throwing back then. But it's like to say Ted Williams couldn't exist now. I'm like, Ted Williams would probably just embarrass pitchers,
Mhm.
and like a lot of those guys, like, even though they didn't have like fully functioning weight rooms, like those guys, my first weight set was a Ted Williams weight set where you filled the little things with the cement and you had the little poster that of all the things that Ted Williams was demonstrating. And a lot of it was calisthenics. It was jumping jacks, it was push-ups, it was chin-ups, rope climbs, go run, or even it was like a 10-yard sprint and repeat those things. And these were guys that were playing professional baseball, then they were going to fight in wars, then they were coming back to play baseball. Like nowadays, you don't have any of that. I don't even think a lot of kids even know who guys like Ted Williams are, Mickey Mantle, or like who's Babe Ruth. Like, isn't Barry Bonds the guy who hit all the home runs?
Right,
Like, who the
right.
hell is Babe Ruth? The history will always be there. For guys like you, guys like me, where it's the sports side of things are over, right? We're not playing anymore, but you can still be heavily involved in that world.
Yeah.
The passion for it never leaves. Like, I was not a good baseball player, but I think I learned through that to just be an even better person and human and teammate. Now that I'm an adult,
There's that teammate word again.
yeah, it's that. It's like that even at Tracy High, like within football, we have that saying, big team, little me.
Mhm.
It's not about any of us. It's about the person next to you, the person behind you,
Yeah.
your brothers, right? It is a family. And I think in high school sports, I think we've gotten away from that, right? Too set on win, win, win. Plus, I think that coming from the youth sports world, right?
Mhm.
Win, win, win. Everybody gets trophies. Everybody's a winner. It's like my dad used to say, it's simple. Trophies are for champions. Like, when the Yankees lose the World Series, they don't get a consolation prize.
Right.
It's you guys lost.
Right.
Yeah, all of
Better
your
luck next
stuff,
year.
all of your stuff has been printed on the shirts and the newspaper articles, but that shit just gets thrown away. You didn't win, right? So I think you use that as fuel. Like at Tracy High, we went to the playoffs for the first time this past season since the last time I think you went to the playoffs in 2016?
Yeah, 16 would have been my year.
And we played a really good school from out in the Sacramento area, and I got smoked. But it was a game that were just too many errors, too many mistakes. Could have easily been a winnable game. But you can't look back at the what ifs. It's even with you can't look at the what ifs of everything. It's did I put in that effort to be better? Was I a good teammate? Am I a good human? And I mean, now you're married and you're raising little humans, and hearing you talk just a few months ago when the baseball field was named after Coach Vic, knowing that you played there, with what you've given to that program, full circle, seeing these coaches now that are old men, retired, new coaches, new blood, seeing, hey, they made playoffs. That's pretty cool. Anything you could say to these kids that are coming into their off season right now with, spring being 5 months away, like what's one thing or a couple things you could give those kids, being that you were in their shoes once, you played where they wanted to play. It'd be a dream for any kid to go to Long Beach, let alone even play at Delta. I hold Delta close to me. That's where I went to junior college, because my parents couldn't afford to send me anywhere else. My brother was going to Cal Poly. I was that kid who college by day, worked a full-time job by night. And I think it's just shaped me into something that I'm able to do now. I'm okay with that grind, that process, but talking about the grind and the process in regards to a high school kid, where do you shine that light for them?
I would definitely say to be around the right people. That's my biggest thing. Is you can train all day long, but you are who you surround yourself with. So if you've got a couple of friends that like to do some less than nice things off the field, that's the route you're going to go. You're not going to really get better. You can't get better just at practice.
You can party later.
Right.
Trust me.
Exactly.
You can party later, and
so surround yourself with people that have that similar mentality where, hey, I want to get to this other level. How am I going to do that?
Yeah. A growth mindset.
Yeah. Best example is, like I was talking about, that small weight room in Indie Bowl. There's one guy who was in there every single night. Didn't matter. He was an outfielder. Didn't matter if he went 0 for 5 or 4 for 4 with 3 jacks that night. He was in the weight room after the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're playing 7 o'clock games. We're over about 10:30. He's in the weight room till midnight. Full uniform. Didn't even change. And so I was like, all right, well, that guy's going to go somewhere. He'd already been with the Brewers for a minute before that. And I was like, so that guy's been around spring training clubhouses. That guy's been around Christian Yelich.
Yep.
That guy's been around Young Gomes. That guy's been around these guys. I'm like, if he's doing that and he's here, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to attach myself to this teammate because he's doing the right things. He's doing the things that I see as beneficial to my career and where I want to be. That gentleman ended up being the best man at my wedding. And I didn't meet him until I was 23, 24 years old. So definitely surround yourself with the people that are heading in the right direction or in the same direction that you want to go.
Yeah, find good coaches that actually care. The fact that you can still...
That's a big part of it too, is coaches. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there.
Totally.
Actually, story on that note, going back to Vic Alkire and Tony Crivello, they were my coaches at Tracy High. My junior and senior year, we had, I don't even know if it was like fall or whatever, but they went down to Home Depot or Orchard Supply or whatever, got a whole bunch of trees. Well, we've also got
planted the trees.
15, 16, 17 kids that are 16, 17 years old. We all got working hands. We all got working backs. We want to take pride in what we're doing and where we're at. So we got our entire team out there with trucks and shovels and trowels, and we planted trees. Just going down the fences there. Not one person was complaining. Nobody was like, why do we have to be out here doing yard work? Nobody. We were out there, we had a great time. We had guys bringing speakers, we had parents bringing coolers full of Gatorades and waters and Propels and all that kind of stuff. And we were just out there vibing. And then all of a sudden sun went down, we're like, oh, trees are up.
Yep.
Because we weren't being trained to be baseball players.
Yeah.
We were being taught how to be people.
Exactly.
And men. And
it's team building.
Exactly.
It's things that you have to do outside of the scope of the team and the sport. It's why college programs, they'll go on a hike, right, with their kids. Arizona State football, their entire summer practice is at this hidden field in the forest. It's called like the hidden field of dreams. You have to hike to get there, and then it's just majestic.
Remember the Titans,
yeah,
huh?
Field surrounded just by nothing but what God created.
Yeah.
Right. And it's things like that. It's like, oh, we're at the field today, but we're going to plant trees, or we're going to take care of the field.
Yeah.
It's not.
Even in college, we went to, when I was at Long Beach, we went to Knott's Berry Farm for their Halloween fest or whatever. Whole team, 30 dudes, coaches and everything. And we're just 20, 21 years old. And we're all just out there having a great time.
Yeah.
Because it's that team building aspect that really takes you farther.
That's like people that don't put their weights away after they use them in the weight room.
Bugs me.
Yeah. It's like why the home team. That's why we clean the field after we're done.
Yeah.
It's like you played on that field. Take care of that field. Because you've been to those fields that are crap, that have holes everywhere, that look like it's just a field for the animals to live on. Where you don't realize it takes time to mow the grass, take care of the grass, water the grass, rake everything. You want a pristine outfield so you don't run into a hole and break your leg.
at Delta. I've actually got some pretty funny videos on my phone of this, but I had leveled the entire home plate area there because that field's all turf except for the mound and home plate. Those are natural surface, clay and dirt. And right when I had started catching, I didn't know what it was supposed to look like or feel like or whatever, so I didn't really care a ton. But I started to kind of realize, like, when these holes back here get bigger, I can't move better.
Yeah.
I can't slide because I'm getting stuck in this hole or whatever. So it ended up being every Friday. So I had Fridays off, but we would play games on Fridays or off from class. So I would go find my head coach in his office, be like, "Yo, Skip, I get the keys. Like, I'm gonna work on the plate." He's like, "Okay." Throws me his keys. I go in there. I lock the shed. I pull a little tractor out, one little John Deere 3-wheelers.
Mm-hmm.
Put the flat side down. Scrape. There's dirt everywhere. We're an hour and a half before warm-ups, and our catching coach comes out and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, the holes. He's like, "We have a grounds crew." I was like, "Yeah, but he's doing the softball field. He's doing his job over there somewhere.
Needs to be done over here."
I'm not gonna beg this guy to coddle my thing because I'm more important than like the softball team. Like, no, he's busy. It's got to get done. Do it."
Yeah.
So I did, filled it in and everything. And like I said, it ended up being every Friday thing where I'm out there, got no shirt on because nobody's out there yet. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my shorts and some cruddy shoes on this little John Deere tractor, digging up home plate, putting it back, tamping it down and everything because it needed to be done.
Yeah.
And that's how I wanted my area to look like. It's taking pride in your job.
And at the high school level, it's more of telling them multiple times to get a job done. You know, it's hard to, have a lot of leaders at the high school level, right? Because it's, I'm going to get made fun of by my friends.
I got a 7 and 8-year-old. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm not going to look cool enough if I do this. And it's like, no, but you are going to look cool enough. And those are the things that coaches are paying attention to.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do you see on Twitter, Instagram, that one kid from whatever team in the College World Series picking up all the like Gatorade cups and everything in there because
cleaning up, or like, the NFL athlete who loses the Super Bowl, right? And then it's, now I think it's just become more cliche of like, I'm going to stand here, someone's going to capture my photo, and then that becomes the new Nike ad, right? But it's like, hey, you lost the World Series, you lost in the Super Bowl. What are you going to do to get back there, right? Because you can't say that, we'll just be back next year, right? The Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to work their asses off to get back to a Super Bowl. Because you got that Mahomes guy, right? You got all these. You got Joe Burrow. You got a lot of guys that are hungry for it. Even in baseball. Looking at my Yankees, we were a first place team not that long ago. We're barely holding on to a wild card position. Teams get hot right now. Teams cool off. Teams make moves at the trade deadline. Maybe they don't work out. Right? It's so different. And I think too many times kids are comparing themselves to the pros, right? It's gonna, if you're not dealing with mental problems, it's gonna create them for you once you start comparing yourself to other people.
Where your feet are.
And that's the biggest thing with sports. There's always kids and adults. There's always somebody better than you, someone bigger than you, faster than you, stronger than you. Look at Aaron Judge. How many 6'7", how many of those exist? There's not that many.
Right.
But you have a lot of tall dudes. Like, even to think like Aaron Judge's teammates with Giancarlo Stanton and Big G used to be the biggest thing in there. Yeah. And then he lost all that weight, got healthier. A guy like Aaron Judge just is naturally like 280 pounds. And it's
with an athletic body, though,
too. That's not saying athletic
200.
And it's like to think like the Aaron Judge you see now is not the Aaron Judge we saw rookie year. He's changed his swing. He's changed his approach. He's getting old. He's older now, right? And it's, not everybody wants to swing like Aaron Judge. You got to find what works for you. You have to find what works for you, I think, at a young age and perfect that. Right? Like, write things down, journal, take before and after pictures. I think if you track your journey and you're open to the right type of criticism, and criticism is good when coaches give it to you, they're not tearing you down, right? You took all of it and it's like, hey, you need to gain weight. You need to get bigger. You need to change positions. You could have just quit like most kids do. Most kids now, I think they're quitting between 13 and 15 years old. They're just done with it. And that could just be coming from bad experiences, bad coaching, mom and dad making the wrong decisions for you, which they're going to do that throughout your life. Trust me. But hey, they mean it out of love, right? Even though you might hate them for it. But at the end of the day, it's we keep saying, be a good teammate, learn to be a good human.
Yeah, the people you can keep for your entire life.
Take that criticism.
The game will be over eventually.
Because all those coaches that you've had, that you've mentioned, you can still have a conversation with those coaches today.
I could probably call Tony right now and be like, "What up, TJ?
You know,
How you doing?"
And Tony's a great example. You know, we keep talking about Tony. He's done so much.
He really has.
The community, just the school district in general. You know, Tony's wife is also a teacher. His kids are juniors now. You know, I get the opportunity to work with his son from the strength and conditioning side of things. You know, it's hard when you're raising your own athletes and you're also having to wear the coach's hat too. And I think Tony does a great job because he does not play favorites. If his kids stink, they're not playing.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna go with the best 9, right? And he's gonna develop you along the way. And I think that's what having good coaches, like I'm sure you've had plenty of bad coaches along the way, and you've had some really great ones, and you've played in all the shoes that these kids are trying to fill. You know, being a starter at the high school level, you know, it's not easy to do. And I think too many kids think they're entitled to those positions just by their name, their tenure at the program, which is not the case. Entitlement is a disease all on its own, especially at the high school level. You have to earn things. That's why there's tryouts. That's why there's the off season. You know, it's what did you do during your off season? You know, are you just coming back every time a shell of the last person that played?
Right.
You know, you could have always just stayed that 160-pound kid.
Yeah.
And tell your coaches no. You probably would have never played at Delta, played at Long Beach, probably would have never got the opportunities to play pro ball, be in those little crappy weight rooms, but it's making the most of those opportunities.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You don't ever have to look back at anything and say you quit or that you were a quitter, that you didn't try. Because when you do those things and you quit and you don't try, that stuff stays with you forever. Whether it's a high school sport, a job, a relationship, like if you can look back at it and you tried, but you probably didn't, you know, you're the perfect example of just doing what you needed to do to fulfill your dream that you even had before you got to high school. And I think that's a huge message for a lot of you younger athletes is you have to set that plan early. You don't need mom and dad to create that plan for you either. Mom and dad can help you navigate, but mom and dad aren't the one playing the sport. They're not the one out there getting those reps. Your mom and dad might have never even played sports.
It's not their future.
It's not. They're there to be mom and dad and be your parent and raise you that way. You know, when I came home and if I looked to my dad for something related to my sport, he's not answering those questions. You need to go talk to your coach.
That exactly the same with mine.
You need help on schoolwork or, you know, something else. You know, let me be your dad at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not your baseball coach.
Yeah,
Go talk to your baseball coach.
I was lucky enough to have a father very similar to that.
It's like mom and
the best dad.
Mom and dad can't
But he wasn't my coach.
fight every battle for you as much as they want to. And college coaches don't want that kid whose mom and dad have their hands in their kids' pockets. You know, is your kid holding his gear bag going from the dugout to the car, or is it mom and dad holding that load for them?
Yeah.
You know, you got to find that separation of, you know, parent to coach to athlete. And then everything works well in that point, in that mindset. You know, an athlete like Thomas can thrive because he's doing it his way, right? And he did it his way with the guidance of really good coaches. And I think that's a big thing, is seeking out good coaches, finding out who are these people that are coaching my kids,
Yeah.
right? What's your background?
Are they who they say they
Are they, yeah, did you just play the sport, you know, or do you actually understand what my kid needs? Like, you know, I didn't play high level baseball, but I played baseball. I've been around it my entire life. And learning the science behind things from that strength and conditioning aspect, it's even baseball players need a weight room. It's, you know, and I think that's a big void that we're trying to fill, especially here in town at the high school level. You know, we both graduated from Tracy High. We had the weight room. It's always been there. Whether or not we got the guidance we needed in that weight room, that is a whole nother story that we can probably have another podcast episode on altogether, talking about the gap that your children are missing within the high school, hell, even in the middle school ranks. I think it needs to start even earlier.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I come from the days of the presidential fitness stuff,
Right,
you know,
yeah,
having to
pacer.
do push-ups, pull-ups. I had to climb a rope in elementary school. We had to run through the little gymnastics thing and do the beams and do a flip and a tumble, the sit and reach. And that standard is no longer there anymore. And you see the standard lowering across everything, even the standards that we have for military, the standards that we have for law enforcement. It's just, we're making it too easy for people and then taking it away from kids, thinking that it's too hard for them to do these things. It's okay for kids to do hard things. You want them to do hard things. That's how we get better. I mean, I used to climb trees and fall down from them. I used to bury my brother in the backyard so he could dig himself out of the hole, right? It's do a hard thing. You're gonna get buried in the hole, dig yourself out of the hole, right? I gave you a straw so you can breathe. You know, hey, we do things with more kids, but it's do hard things, expose your kids to hard things. They're not as soft and sensitive as you think they are. I turned out pretty well. Thomas is doing well, you know, and it's, you can look back and did you try hard enough? Did you give it your all? Could you have done, we all could have done more, but it's, did I do enough to look back and not think that I was a failure or call myself a quitter? You know, I've been doing this now. I've been coaching for, this is my 20th year. I thought I knew everything. I didn't until I got a business mentor, and it's been doing wonders. You know, you're always willing to learn more. You know, I've learned more now than I ever did in college, any textbook, you know, through real life experiences and meeting and other real life human beings like yourself.
Observe your world.
Yeah, you know, it's not all social media and that. It's just a very blind way of looking at the world because you're just seeing people with that smile right then and there. Most social media, it's just, I think it's just a mask.
Yeah.
You know, and the social media didn't exist when I was playing sports. You know, social media for us was get on your bike, go ride to your friend's house.
Mhm.
Hey, do you want to play catch? Do you want to play home run derby outside? Do you want to ride our bikes down that hill really fast?
Yeah. See who
Or
falls off last.
pick up a phone, call somebody. You know, times are different. Times are definitely changed. But it doesn't mean all the other things have to be forgotten about.
Right.
You know, getting strong, getting fast, just becoming a better version of yourself. Like you were pretty good at baseball, but there's always people that are pretty good at baseball. And then you meet someone who's just really great at
Mhm.
baseball. And they make the things that you struggle with look really, really easy. And then you want to think, well, what's their training plan? What are they doing? It's probably even more boring.
Right.
They're just really good at doing boring things
The mundane.
really, really well. In baseball, boring. But it's one of the
It is
greatest sports.
162 games
Yes,
in a year.
it's a long
You
season.
cannot enjoy every
Yeah,
single second.
you're not
Just
gonna go 162 in 0 we've seen teams that have won well over 100 games in seasons. It's kind of rare now. You see teams break 80, break 90, but the game's changing more, guys. We don't see dudes consistently hitting 300 anymore.
Load management is where I see that a lot.
Yeah, it's so different. It's like you're a superstar if you hit 220, but you have 40 bombs.
Yeah.
You probably hit 80 to 100 home runs, but you struck out 200 times. That's the new normal. And you could blame, pitchers just throw harder. I'm like, well, what about back then when pitchers just threw nastier stuff? Like, could hitters today hit Greg Maddux, right? Or any of those guys that Greg Maddux didn't work out a day in his life. He was just had a God-given right arm, little tiny guy, right? And then you can look at other pitchers that are just giants, starting guys that are throwing 100 in the first inning and 100, but now you don't see starting pitchers go past 5 innings or 6 innings. It's like, it's the 5th inning. My starter's probably going to come out. So it's like the bullpen now is even more important.
Yeah.
I mean, even watching the Yankees just the last couple of weeks with all the new pitchers they've added, seeing a guy come in, he's only going to throw this inning, and then we're going to bring in a new guy in the next inning, and he's going to be terrible. Should have just stuck with the other guy.
Right.
I was listening to Andy Pettit talk, and he was like, there was never a game that I was starting where I wasn't thinking 100 pitches minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, he's at 75, 80. He's probably reaching his threshold. The analytics say that we should take him out now.
Yeah.
And scope of sports changes, numbers, analytics, all of that stuff, to where it's taken away from the game. And you see that now trickling into the younger ages.
Well, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, with the results, is everybody wants those numbers, but nobody, they want to hit 40 bombs.
Yeah.
But they're not worried about that double that they hit off the wall, or even that fly out that they had that to the warning track. It wasn't a home run. That was failed at bat.
Yep.
Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've hit a ball at what felt like 130 miles an hour right at a guy.
The art
Just
of hitting the
snags it.
ball the opposite way, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing selfish baseball players, especially at the high school level, guys that just, all I do is hit bombs. I'm like, I have yet to see one, right? Like, I would rather just see you take a ball the other way and score that guy on second, instead of you striking out for the 3rd or 4th time because you're just trying to hit a ball you can't hit, right? It's just make contact. That's where Tony is great at. It's like, just make contact.
Yeah.
Where's your routine at?
Yeah,
You're
Tony
up there-
don't care about your numbers.
You're up there rushing, right? You're not doing your job. And I can't tell you how many games that you should have won, right? Because you look at the little things that we were just not doing. And it's like, if those things don't get worked on or addressed or fixed, or, Coach Mack and Tony were great. It's like, if you're not buying into what we're doing at practice, you've already lost the game before it even starts.
We had a little game kind of thing that we had my senior year, where we wanted, because we'd come close. We lost to St. Mary's right before the section championship the year before. So all the guys that were coming back were like, okay, well, we're going to go to the section championship this year. It's not an if. It's not. We are going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much buy-in from those guys. And we had, I think Tony was reading excerpts from like Heads Up Baseball or something to us or whatever. And there's this like palms up versus palms down thing. And that just became part of our everyday language.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey man, can I borrow a pencil? Oh, it's my last one. It's palms up, man. Like just anything, but it also turned into this anti-selfish, like hardcore anti-selfish. If you said the word me, my, mine, anything, 10 push-ups. Immediately 10 push-ups. We got guys in the courtyard in high school in between classes ripping out push-ups. We were like, oh, where'd you get that hat? Oh, it's mine. 10 push-ups. Like, it was part of our everyday lives. We built it into that, and we did what we wanted to do.
Tony was great. It was like, if you don't want to be here, if you don't want to buy into this, take your gear, go stand on the back of the dugout, and we'll tell you where to go. not cheering people on. You're out there on playing defense and there's crickets. No
And
one's communicating.
It's also that it's not a malicious thing.
No.
To be like, if you don't want to be here, leave.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're here for a reason.
Mhm.
If this isn't what you want, something else has what you want.
Same thing I tell the football players. Like, if you don't want to be here, you can leave your gear on the sidelines. It's like, I'm a volunteer, right? I don't get paid to be here with you, but I still show up every single day. I'm in your weight room. I'm here at your practices. I'm here for your pre-games. I'm literally giving up time that I could be spending at home with my wife or in my own business. But I'm here because it was something that I never had. And if I don't continue to show up, they're just in the same boat that they were already in with all the holes in it. And they're just going to sink and they're going to drown, right? You need to step up. And I think
Do the job.
I think people don't realize like what it means to be a volunteer and like what it means to give back to your community. Like all those years that Vic coached, right? And even I remember during Tony's speech how he said Tony's wins were comparable to what Bobby Cox and Joe Torre, no one at the highest, like that's massive. Like to coach that many young kids, right? And to see them go through the program yourself, to come back to have the field named after you. And you don't even live in that town anymore.
In the state?
The state lives in Michigan.
Right.
It's that shows you the impact that someone has made because Vic will still come back. He still follows everybody on social media, still wears his Tracy High hat.
He goes
with pride.
He went to see Cody actually coach last year.
He's still
made a
still
special
going
trip to Pittsburgh.
Still going to see a kid that he coached that made it. That's in the show, right? A kid that you were putting his name on your lineup cards. It's like that's the stuff that you remember, right? It's even for me being a coach, kids come and go all the time. They graduate high school, they go off to college, but they keep coming back when they're on a break. Now some of them have graduated college and they're now working class adults. They still come back. We're still friends because it was always bigger than the weight room. Just like with the world of baseball, it's always bigger than baseball. It's always going to be bigger than the sport you play. But the sports we play, I've made lifelong relationships just through sports, and I have better relationships than I do with some of my own family members. Family it's whatever I want it to be, right? You don't have to be blood related. Family, it's like this is family, right? Having these conversations, knowing that we've all gone through the same places, the same schools, we've been coached by a lot of the same people.
I mean, like I said earlier, I found the best man in my wedding on some random team in Indiana.
And some of the people that were my teachers 20 plus years ago, now I'm back on campus and it's now I'm one of them. I'm the guy giving back, and I'm getting to work with their kids, and it's just a big impact. We still have a lot of work to do within everything, how we coach kids, how we train kids, just approaching the world. We need to take the world of baseball back. I think, it's so much bigger than the travel sports and all of that, and getting your kid recruited at 13 years old. And it's an education thing. I think most parents today, I don't think a lot of them played sports. So they're navigating a world they know nothing about. They're just going off of comfort and feel and what their friends are doing. It's like going out to swim with the sharks. It's uncharted water. And I think it's cool to see where you started, where you went through, and, having you come back and, see the field get dedicated, and just knowing that we are doing the right things. certain programs, I just think need better access to better coaching, just access to more things in general, strength and conditioning, how we're viewing the weight room. With high school baseball, it's those kids have 5 months before they have to go to tryouts. Those kids can change their bodies completely in 5 months and be that kid that you once were, with that open mind where it's like, who's coming up, right? Which kids from the JV team are probably going to get pulled up. Those freshmen that we pulled up last year, they're already going to be varsity guys this year. So you do have to fight for positions, but you might have to modify, right? You might going in to the military thinking, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL, and it doesn't work out.
Right.
Do you give up on your dream of being in the military? Or do you keep going? I've been told no a million times.
Yeah, I had a conversation with my dad actually a couple of years ago. I was still playing pro ball. I was in the indie ball scene out there in Indiana. And I was like, talking to him, I was like, I distinctly remember when I was a kid watching TV, watching Barry, watching Jeter, watching all them, being like, I'm going to be a professional baseball player. And then life does what life does, and I'm playing independent ball, and I'm like, it's not exactly what I had in mind. I want to be that guy.
You're still attached to the game.
Exactly. I still was able to make it to a level that is rare.
Yeah.
There's only so many people that make it that far. And while I was like, yeah, I'm not on TV, I'm not making millions, but I played baseball and somebody paid me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the coolest thing that I've ever heard.
It's like people pay me to train their kids. It's like I've made it.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid to do what I love, right? Yeah. And in my head, I'm a professional coach, which, I don't make things up on the fly, right? I'm not lying to people about things, selling them one thing and giving them the complete opposite. It's being completely transparent with people. It's just like with baseball. It's like, it's hard. It's not easy to throw a ball or hit a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still catch a ball and you still might stink at the sport altogether, and it's finding good coaches, keeping those coaches around, and knowing that those relationships, they really do last forever. And I think that's kind of a big thing we've really hit today, is those relationships do matter. They're
Absolutely.
going to get you places down the road. There might be a referral, or you might need a letter of recommendation from somebody down the road. And those coaches that you relied on back then, trust me, those coaches, they want to write those letters to you. They want to go to your wedding. They want to know how you're doing. They follow you on social media. If they made an impact in your life, people stick around. You might not see them as much as you used to, but like I said, they're a phone call away, a text message away.
Mm-hmm.
Those coaches are always going to respond to you. I can send Vic a message on Facebook. It might take him a little while to read it or find the message, but he's going to respond to you. It's going to be more than just a yes or no. He's going to ask you how you're doing.
Yeah, great to hear from you.
Yeah, good to hear from you. You're doing great things. I never played for Vic, but when he came back for the field commemoration, it was like a conversation like he knew me his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Love what you're doing with this, and it's like knowing that, hey, this guy's paid attention to my stuff. That's the viewer you want, because those are the people that really, really matter, because they're going to be the ones that mention you in a conversation with somebody else, or they're going to recommend you to somebody else. And that's what keeps all of this going. Now that the field's named after him, it means a little more when you drive by it, when we step out on that field. And I try to tell the boys that. I was like, you're not just stepping onto any baseball field anymore. You're stepping onto something special that has a lot of core memories that we want to continue creating. Like I said, those banners that are out there, they're very lonely. 2016, 2017, that's a long time ago.
Don't say that, you make me feel old here.
Yeah, we're getting old, but these newer kids, luckily, I think I've had the opportunity to work around them now to see what the younger talent looks like. Who do we have now? Who can we develop? And coming off of a year where we made the playoffs for the first time in a long time, there's light at the end of the tunnel. The fact that our high school is putting an emphasis into strength and conditioning and just giving more to the kids, it's the kids that are going to thrive. It's not me, it's them. I don't have to suit up and play 3 games a week like they do. I don't have to worry about getting a college scholarship. I already went to college and graduated and paid off my student loans. It's in their head, they're not even thinking about that. In their head, I gotta go D1. I gotta play pro ball. I gotta do something. Where most of these kids just need to worry about eating right, go to bed on time, take care of your body, and just be a good human being, and everything else will work out.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't play pro ball, it's not the end of the world. You might marry a pro athlete, right? Things might change. You might be lucky like Travis Kelce and get to have Taylor Swift, and it's the best of both worlds.
Right. Yep.
Pro athlete, biggest musician out there right now. So you never know how life is going to pan out. Life is a weird thing. And like Forrest Gump said all those years ago, it's like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get. There's always going to be those chocolates you don't want, right? I'm not a big fan of the dark chocolate and just weird stuff. Just give me that milk chocolate, give me the caramel, give me the stuff I want. But just like life, you're not going to get the stuff that you always want. But have a plan, stick to it. When you listen to this, go back and listen to all the things that Thomas said, especially you younger athletes. Just have a plan, set goals for yourself. You can't just go out there and think that you're entitled to things just because you're good at the sport. Because trust me, you're going to come across somebody that's even better than you at that sport. I want to thank Thomas for coming out and being a guest on our podcast. All of these episodes will be dropping in September, so just stay tuned. You can find all the info you need on our social media pages. They'll pop up all over the screen. That's the cool thing. I don't have to spell them out for you. And yeah, just keep sticking with us. Just keep loving the sports you play, guys. Keep training. Keep your head held high, and just don't ever quit. Keep doing it. Keep loving what you do. Thomas, thank you. And we are signing out.
Absolutely.